the form of identification will be accepted. And I said, listen for these lists, because I wasn't going to read all this, but I realized, look at what the list, all these are equal. And you can get a common denominator of the truly underlying authority about why, and get us back to 9/11 and what that caused in this country. And I'll just maybe throw the punchline out. The emergency, the war powers type of information that came out that the government now relies upon. It's all fraud, but again, we shift. No different than we shifted when Lincoln threw down, usurped this country. We're seeing I told you we're seeing another one happen after 9/11 to make a more perfectus union. A DOD common access card, DOD uniform services ID cards, military retiree or dependent ID, local DOD access cards and passes, defense biometric identification system card. These are going to be equivalents, remember, and look at what they're doing to these documents. And don't forget about the central databasing that's going on and the monopolizing reorganization that's going on under Trump. U.S. and foreign passports and passport cards, transportation worker identification cards. Transportation worker identification card. Where's the state ID card come from? Where does a so-called driver's license come from? They're talking state here. Why only transportation workers? Veterans health identification cards. Federal personal identify verification cards. Non-federal PIV interoperable cards. An acceptable photo ID issued by a federally recognized tribal nation, Indian tribe, including enhanced tribal cards. What do the tribes become? What are people saying about this? And this is interesting to watch this promotion by the government. The government noosed us here for us, because what are people saying? Transportation Secretary Administration, TSA Administrator David Peroski in January said, quote, identity verification is foundational for security. But the TSA agent's not people, is he? Unless they're admitting to a federal government as a corporation too. So we're not going to get what the people are saying in this article. We're going to get what the government wants you to know, that your use of the highway is DOD controlled. Otherwise, why are DOD papers acceptable? Have you looked at the 1956 Eisenhower Act over the highways? Have you looked at Title 49? And start pulling a lot of this together. I urge, the article goes on, I urge those who use a driver's license, he says, as a state-issued identity card as their primary form of identification to access federal facilities or board commercial passenger aircraft to ensure these credentials are Real ID compliant. We are committed to engaging with the public, licensing jurisdictions, and states to facilitate a smooth transition to Real ID enforcement beginning May 7, 2025. Again, the act went into play 20 years ago. It's taken everybody this long to get it organized, and they did. The states could have said no. You saw it's not anything to do with the Real ID where they say they can accept a passport. Now, I still have questions about that, but you don't need the Real ID, do you? And yet they got all the states to capitulate. When you look at the Real, everyone says, what's the problem with the Real ID? It has obligations and duties that your passport and your driver's license don't to the federal government. Go read, folks. Go find this stuff out, how we're doing it to ourselves. So what about those of us that are not resident? And if you don't produce evidence of residency in any state, or the birth certificate that they want, are you deemed an illegal alien? And if not, why not? Do you understand the problem here? See, we're too giving of certain things, and when you withhold that, or if you don't even know it exists, and then you ask the question, now it comes out a little bit different. For all those of you who want to see illegal aliens booted out of here without due process. But who does Congress represent to require papers to enjoy a vested right of ingress and egress to things once deemed public? What about your presumption of innocence? How do you feel about the government stealing your presumption of innocence without any due process? Whose are these facilities that we, the people, can no longer enter without our papers? And if you can't walk in the front door of a federal court without a real ID, justice being denied to you, why will you get access through the back door, chained and in handcuffs, escorted by the FBI or a federal marshal? If this is your America made great again. When will you understand this is not your country? You're an occupied people, presumed enemy combatants now, ruled by a foreign power foreign to the organic establishment. You're all illegal aliens needed to show your get to pass this sector card, now with a star, the little yellow star of privileged, apartheid segregated class. Who did the fallen in Arlington fight for here? If you can't access their final resting place by car or the courts on foot without your papers, is why America cannot be great again. But trust the plan, right, Quislings?